How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Jemele Hill, formerly of ESPN, now over at The Atlantic, writing racist hit pieces against black men and many others, talking about how black athletes, read football players, basketball players, should go to historically black colleges rather than predominantly white colleges. Now, this piece was really absurd, and if you want to read it, I don't recommend it, but if you do, I'll place that in the description box. And really what it did was, like I said in the very beginning, shame black men and also promote segregation. Jemele Hill used to be on ESPN, and she called Trump a white supremacist on Twitter, and she eventually pretty much got resigned. You know, I think it was going to be a matter of, look, either you can go ahead and leave or we're going to fire you because you're just doing way too many things we don't want. You're making everything be political. You're saying things we don't want to have associated with our brand as ESPN. So she left and went over to The Atlantic where she writes for them. She went to Michigan State University, which is like a 70% almost white college. So it's kind of hard for me to read this piece and look at what she said here with, you know, any kind of seriousness, because she did not go to an HBCU herself. She went to a quote unquote white school, but we'll move on. The general idea here is that she wants black athletes to go to predominantly black schools to uplift them financially. Okay, she's talking about how the white colleges make so much money from the athletic program, and she has a lot of numbers talking about 55% of college basketball players are black men. Same thing with football. And she's saying all the money that we produce over there should go to the black colleges instead, which are struggling. I think she said Alabama's athletic program makes like $174 million, but the top HBCU athletic program makes only like $18 million per year. And that's a big gap. So she wants to try and rectify that. But there's a big problem here, Jemele Hill. I'm not really sure if you caught it or not. Maybe it's just me that saw it. She also said in her piece that black men are being, quote unquote, exploited without pay, this, that, and the third. So she wants to go on this whole, we got to pay college athletes crusade, but at the same time saying that she wants the same revenue that they create for the colleges to go to the black school. How are you going to have that revenue transfer if the athletes get paid? I mean, maybe you just didn't take any kind of economics class. Maybe you don't understand what's really going on. If you take them from the white colleges, quote unquote white colleges, and transfer them to the black colleges, first of all, you got to assume that it's going to be the same level of productivity over there, because it takes more than just good football players and basketball players to have a good program. Okay, you got to have good coaches, good facilities, trainers, nutrition, whatever is going into it. You got to have all that work in concert. Okay, she tried to shame the guy, Kayvon Thibodeaux, for visiting Florida A&M, which is a black college, but ultimately deciding to go to Oregon instead. And she put his quote in there to shame him some more, talking about, why would you get McDonald's where you can have filet mignon? You know, basically saying, why would I go to this underperforming, underfunded black school when I can go to Oregon that already has a great program? You know, they're producing NFL players in the first round. Why would I go to this small school? It'd be harder for me to get myself out there. I might mess around and get injured. The team overall is not as good. It's simple. One thing to understand is that you have stars in college football, but you also have just regular everyday guys, third string, special teams, etc. You got to have all these guys be very good and train very well and coach very well to have a good performance. And also, what about the conference? Are you even in Division I? You got to look at the competition of other schools that are going to be there as well. That's going to help you propel your name and to get better as far as your skills are concerned. If you're playing against tomato cans, low-level competition, you're not really going to be able to get that experience that you need when you go into the NFL, where you're going to have the best of the best of the best on the field. And sometimes, most of the time, honestly, guys that are playing college sports will not go to a higher level than college. So the education is important. Some guys are going to pretty much major in basketball or football or whatever they're playing, and that's, you know, a different story. But some guys are going to go there and truly be student athletes. They want to get that education. So why would I go to an HBCU that does not really have a good program education-wise when I can go to a better school with better education, better trainers, better everything? Okay, if it's both for free, then what's really going on? But to get back to her thing about the money, you can't have the money transfer if you're paying these guys cash to go. All right. And at a certain point, the so-called white schools are going to have more cash on hand regardless. So they're going to be able to pay the athletes more. So if what you're saying about paying the college athletes was to come to fruition, the HBCUs are pretty much be out of luck. A lot of them are in debt right now. They're trying to go to the federal government and get more money to get pretty much bailed out. How are they going to be able to pay? Like, let's say Norfolk State. How is Norfolk State going to be able to pay your 5-star college recruit more money than Alabama, Texas, Oregon, or something like that? I mean, come on. They would be in the worst position that way. You wouldn't really have anybody to go there at all. All the guys that would get offered money would go to the bigger schools because they'd be able to get offered more money. If she had it the way she wanted it, the quote unquote white colleges will have the upper hand even more than they do right now. What they have right now over the smaller schools is the fact that they have a better program, better competition, better division, better facilities, better everything. Okay. You can get into the fast track to the NFL better if you're a very high recruit. And if you're not a very high recruit, there's also a very good education program there. And if you're able to manage your time properly, you can be an athlete and also focus on your books. And then once you graduate, once you leave college, you'll be better off than when you came in. You'll be better able to go out there in the world and make something of yourself for free with no debt. How many of us would like to have that? You know, people got crazy student loans on the back. Imagine being able to go do what you enjoy, play football, 3-4 years, get an education, graduate, go on and live your life. Okay. That's pretty much what a lot of guys are attempting to do. Not only in football, but basketball, baseball, lacrosse, tennis, soccer, hockey, badminton, and whatever else you can get a scholarship for in college sports. So Jemele Hill, I think her piece was not really well thought out. Segregation, is that what we want to do? There are colleges that have a mostly white population or a high white population and some that have a high black population. But when you're trying to encourage things like that, I mean, what are we really going back to? I thought that those on the left wanted to have integration and things like that. Are we going back to forced segregation? That's what it is. If you want to have a college where it's mostly one race or whatever, and people voluntarily go there, that's, no problem with that. You have freedom of movement, freedom of choice. But then when you try to shame people into going to a black college and you're trying to coax them and pressure them, that's when I got a problem. Let them do whatever they want. That's their prerogative. They can do so. Don't try to poke and prod oh, you got to go here, you got to go there because you're black, because you're white or whatever. Let these athletes live and do what they want. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that Jemele Hill is correct to say that black athletes should go to quote unquote black schools? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is she incorrect? Do you disagree? How about this thing about black athletes going to black schools to raise the level of income, but at the same time, she wants them to get paid? How is that going to work? You won't have the same level of income at these schools because you don't have the same facilities, the same coaches, the same culture, the same the infrastructure is not there to generate the same kind of revenue. And if you're paying guys, you're going to naturally get less revenue because the biggest expense of any company that I can tell if you have employees are the employees themselves. So your business model and your mind here, Ms. Hill, is not really all the way on point. Go back to the drawing board, rethink that, and then holler back at us. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.